All right, guys. Welcome back. CrossFit Control Podcast. I have Greg and Debra Raber with me today. And you've heard them both on the podcast before. I really wanted to sit down with you two because we just finished up Open Week 1, and you two both did some things that shocked both of you, but I think if people knew your backstory more, it would be even more inspiring. So I want to dive into Greg's coming off of his 9th surgery in 2 years, and we're sitting at the Open, and I said, "Are you putting your score into CrossFit, the worldwide leaderboard?" He said, "No, I'm 8 weeks out of surgery. I don't see the point in it." I said, "Well, can you do?" I can't remember what I asked you first.
I was worried
wall
about
ball?
I was worried about the wall balls first, getting depth.
I said, "No, those look." We did a couple. I said, "They look good." And he said, "Well, I can't do a pull up." I said, "Well, just try one." And he jumped right up and did his first strict pull up. And your face when you looked at me, you're like, "That's my first pull up ever." I said, "We'll do another one to make sure it's not a fluke." Did a second one, and then he did a third one at the end of the buzzard. And so, 8 weeks out of surgery, the accomplishments that he's been able to do, and we're going to dive into that. But for Debra, also, we've been working with these bone spurs in your neck for about a year.
Yep.
And if you don't know anything about bone spurs, other than surgery, you can't get rid of them. So we have to work around the cause of most problems. And Debra and I, we have PT once a week together, and we have been working hard. But you went from 0 push-ups, barely able to bench the bar, to you did 40 push-ups earlier in that week, right?
Yep. Strict. Yep.
40 push-ups. And then hanging was also an issue, and you got not just your first good toes to bar, but you got 8. You couldn't even do them wrong. I was like, "Just do them wrong how you did them before." She was like, I can't do it wrong anymore."
Yeah, I tried. I couldn't do it.
And they were like perfect kipping toes to bar. So I want to dive into what the 2 injuries were. I want you two to tell the story from your side of it, what it's been like to deal with these on the comeback, and maybe talk about the mindset side of it when you do go through setbacks, and when you were able to do one thing at a certain point in time, how you were able to build back to that level again. So I'm just going to let you two talk.
Good.
I'll let you go first, Greg.
Oh, geez. Well, it was like 10 days before Thanksgiving, and I was feeling the best that I've felt in a long time. Just a quick recap. I think I've had 6 knee surgeries. I ripped my left Achilles off the bone 2 years ago. I had a massive heart attack. I had the Widowmaker. But coming into this Open, I was working with you, and my focus was on the Open. I wanted this to be my best effort ever. And 10 days before Thanksgiving, it was Bring a Friend Week. I had a friend in here, and we were jumping rope, and one of the things I was working on was my double unders. And during warm-ups, we were just jumping rope, and when I pushed off, my right Achilles snapped off the bone. I went down, and I knew immediately what had happened. But, you guys got me to a bench, sat there for a little bit. Debra came and got me, and long story short, they had to reattach my right Achilles. That happened December 13th was my surgery. And if no one's went through that surgery before, it's a very major surgery, about a 2.5 hour process. And you are on strict bed rest for the first 2 weeks. If your wound heals when they take the stitches out, then you usually go into a cast anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. Then you go into a walking boot for 4 to 6 weeks, and then you start physical therapy after that. Most professional athletes and college athletes, like if they get hurt in the first game of the season, they're lucky if they're back the following year by the first game of the season. So it's a long recovery process, but here I am 9 weeks out. My wound healed very well this time. I was only in the cast for 2 weeks. Went to the walking boot. I think I was in the walking boot for 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. But the whole time, except for when I was on bed rest those 2 weeks, I wasn't able to drive because you have no control over your foot going up or down before or after the surgery if it's torn off the bone. But Debra would bring me over here. People from the gym have came and got me before so I could come in and work upper body and do things. But here, last week we started the open, and like you said, I wasn't going to try. I mean, I was going to try during the workout, but I just, my knees have been an issue for the last 30 years, and I didn't think I could get down, but it seems like with the surgery, it's given me a little more mobility. And plus working with you, I've worked with you now for over a year, on mobility and other things. So, and, you're right. When I looked at you and when I did that pull up, I was in utter shock because that's something that we've worked on, when I first started PT with you. And, I have lost some weight since surgery and stuff. I don't know what to attribute to, but working with you, losing the weight and continuing to work my upper body while my lower body was injured, I think all played big factors. And it brought tears to my eyes because as a chubby kid growing up, and when you see all your friends doing it in your own yard, it's very humbling to do something. I'll be 54 years old, and it's very humbling to not be able to do that movement for 54 years, and then all of a sudden, bam, it happened.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, when he told me, I did cry because I was just so proud of him because I knew that was something he had worked on and wanted so bad.
I wish you could have seen it in person because he did it, and it was so fast. I was like, and he said, that was my first pull-up ever. I said, are you sure? Because most people will, they'll struggle, and they'll do the little kip, and he just was hanging out there, and he's like, oh, I'll go ahead and give it a shot, and just quick. And I think that's probably what shocked you the most was just you did it without even thinking.
Well, and it was funny because I had to leave because I had to go to work and I had to go get ready for work, and I stopped by because I just wanted to see how he had done with it during the workout. And I came, he was laying on the floor because he was so exhausted from the workout. And I was like, are you okay? Are you okay? Because you never know with him. But it was pretty awesome time. Pretty awesome moment. Something I'll never forget.
Do you feel like you had a different mindset going into this one versus, because the last one you said you had a 6-month recovery process just because that wound wouldn't heal. So did you have a different mindset? I mean, you tore it on a Thursday and you were in here on Friday doing something. Most people don't have that thought in their head. And I don't know if it's because most people haven't had the weight loss journey you've had or the things that happen that scare you to the point where you're like, okay, I cannot give this up because this is my life. But how was your mindset going into this one versus the last Achilles?
Well, I mean, I've felt pretty good going into this one, but again, I was concerned about the range of motion and things like that because it's always been a struggle for me. But I felt good. I mean, I felt good last Friday. I felt motivated. And, on that road, that was the first time that I've been able to go full strength. For those that don't know, when I was hurt, we would modify everything for me. And I was rowing with one leg. I was riding a bike with just my hands, the assault bike. And if you want to see how that's done, I'm sure you can go to YouTube and see how it's done. But it really works your upper body. And I just felt really good. And, I did my 60 calories in, I think, like 236 or something like that. I felt great doing that. The knees to chest weren't bad. But then the wall balls, I knew I had to take my time on those just to concentrate on getting all the way down. But you can never give up no matter what the situation is. You can make excuses, but all they're going to do is set you back even further. So if you meet something head on, something's got to give, and it's either going to be you or the situation. And I can guarantee you, if you push hard enough and try hard enough, that situation is always going to get better by you pushing.
Deborah, you want to tell your side now?
Sure.
Make sure you also talk about all the other wins you've had over the last 2 weeks with your double unders, your pull up. That just your last month has been. I feel like it was you were like doing this little tiny growth, and then all of a sudden it went. Whew.
Yep. So before I did had the issue with my bone spurs, they got inflamed, and I couldn't even hold my arms over my head. I was doing awesome. Like I was doing lifts that it was just going up, 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 up. And, I still couldn't do kipping pull-ups or anything like that, but I could do strict. And I know when we did Murph, I did all strict pull-ups. And I was at a different gym when we did that because we were on vacation, and we were at Myrtle Beach, and I went to their gym. And one of the young girls who could kip amazing came up to me, and she said, "I wish I had your raw strength." She said, "I would have poofed out." She said, "I wouldn't have been able to finish that doing them strict the way that you did." She said, "I just want to tell you that's amazing." That made me feel really good. But then when I got the bone spurs and I couldn't even hang on the bar. I couldn't do pull-ups. And I had a pull-up bar at home that I was doing strict pull-ups, and I would do it. I would just jump up there every day, and I was at the point where I could do 12 or 13 strict in a row. And then from going to that and not being able to do anything upper body overhead was devastating. But I knew giving up was never an option. I didn't want to do that. So that's when I came to you, and I was like, what can we do? Because I don't want to stop coming. I don't want to stop trying to work this. And it took me, I got everything back except for my push-ups and bench. And it's finally, I got my bench back because it would just hurt that movement of a push-up. And I just did a lot of shoulder mobility. I did the crossover symmetry every single day. And now I'm at a point where I'm lifting more than I did before that. And to me, it's amazing. And I'm doing kipping pull-ups now that I've never been able to do. And I honestly think it was a mobility thing. And now that I just feel like everything happens for a reason. That sucked that it happened, and it took me a year and a half to come back. But I don't know that if that hadn't have happened, if I would have ever been able to do kipping pull-ups and toes to bar, kipping toes to bar. And it's always a process, and it takes a lot of work, but you got to be able to have a mindset that you want that. And because I'm a strength athlete and gymnastics and stuff, that's something that I really have to work on because I'm just not that, I don't have that talent, and it's something that I really, really have to work on. And like this last month coming to PT, I've been able to string 4 or 5 kipping pull-ups together, and I never ever thought I was going to be able to get a kipping pull-up. It was so frustrating for me. And now, and the double unders, like I'm working on those at least every other day now. I work on those, and I'm stringing them together now. And it's something, and it's just an amazing feeling because it's something that I'm almost 50 years old, and it's something that I never thought I would be able to do. I think I almost gave up on it. And because of my shoulders, a strict handstand push-up, I never thought I would be able to do that. And we've been working on handstands now and handstand holds for, long periods of time. And actually today was the first time I was able to do a negative on the handstand push-up. So I was super happy. It's just something that you have to take the bad and look at it in a positive and work on it. Because I honestly, like I said, I don't think that I would have been able to be doing everything I've done if that hadn't happened. There's days when my shoulders still, I need to stretch them more certain days or whatever, but my strength is, I just did a PR on my deadlift last night. And so it's everything I've done lately, the push shoulder presses and everything I've had PRs on. My cleans, I don't know. I'm kind of thankful that all that happened, and because now I'm working on a lot of stretching and mobility that I hadn't before, and I feel better than I have ever, to be honest.
And like Greg was talking about with his weight, your weight is also consistently continue to drop,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
You said you're the lightest since you were in your 20s. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Is that hard to believe at 40, 49 years old? You're out deadlifting most of the people in the gym, not just the women in the gym, but the people in the gym. Yeah. And you're also, like you said, you were that strength athlete coming in, but we don't really do any strength stuff during your PT sessions. It's always, apart from the first 4 months of trying to get your shoulders back, we did a lot of dumbbell stuff to get that strength back. But we do a lot of skill stuff, a lot of gymnastic skills, a lot of kipping drills, because you just have that natural strength. Your problem usually is the skill side of it, but we've been hammering it. And now it's cool to see how much you've actually progressed as an athlete. Like, we'll do some workouts sometimes where I'm like, shit, Deborah's keeping up with me. And I'm, almost half your age. Like, it gets frustrating sometimes when you got the 49-year-old woman keeping up with you on the runs. You feel like you got to pick it up. Similar to Terry doing the GHD, it makes you want to work harder.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I told Greg when I came in. I don't know. It's been a couple weeks ago. There was a workout, and you beat me by like 12 reps, and I said, oh, my gosh, if I'd have known that, I would have killed myself to do it. But it is cool, and I feel better in my workouts now, having lost the weight and my cardio. I mean, yeah, I'm a strength athlete, but I have pretty darn good cardio too. So, and that's something I'm pretty proud of, because when I first came, and it was hard for me. Like, I can row. There's a lot of women in this gym now that can row and keep up with the men.
I think it's because we don't scale the row or the bike, and I think that really helps. What was it like for the two of you living together? Because you two are married. You live 30 seconds away from the gym. But what was it like dealing with each other's setbacks, and how did you find ways to motivate each other or help each other out during that time?
I mean, when Deborah's shoulders were bothering her, I just, she would be sitting in the chair and going like this and grabbing her shoulder. And I would just say, hey, we have that crossover symmetry downstairs that you use at the gym. You need to go down and do all those movements that Devin goes over with you. And you've given her so many exercises over the years. And I just said, you got to move it. You got to get blood flow to the area. And not saying it in a, pissed off way or demeaning way, but I mean, I've trusted you since day one when I walked in here. So if you're saying that's what needs to be done, I believe in that. And that's what I just kept pushing her to. And there was days she didn't want to do it, but she did it. And I just think she needed, someone telling her the only way to get better is you got to work it and you got to move it. So
yeah, and I mean, because there were nights that I couldn't sleep because it hurt so bad. There's no way I could get comfortable any way that I laid. So you're awake all night, and then you get up and you haven't had any sleep. But it's like you said, if you don't do something to get the blood flow, it was never going to get better. And I didn't want to have surgery.
So what Greg just said there, I never want to tell someone something that I don't truly believe in. I think one of the hardest things about being a coach with an athlete who's going through pain or a setback is the reality on the time to get back. And it's something, when Greg tore his Achilles, we knew. We didn't think it was going to be 8 weeks. We thought it was going to be closer to 6 months or a year, like the last one. Or with your shoulders. I mean, we knew that it was going to be 3 to 6 months to get the range of motion and the pain away. So that's a hard thing to explain to an athlete, like, hey, you are not going to feel this difference right away, but continuous work will see results. And that was something, I'm sure it was frustrating, because when we first started doing the crossover symmetry, I mean, your imbalance, your compensation that you were having was crazy. And so I would have to sit there and be like, Debra, keep that shoulder down. And it took a while, but then you got to the point where you could do the lower band, and then you move up. But you two are also some of the few athletes that actually listen and do the things outside of here when we go over it. There's been times, I know I've done this with Terry, I think I've done this for you, where you come in with a pain point, and I say, okay, we're going to do we're going to test and retest all these mobility pieces. We're going to see which ones work the best. We're going to take the top 2, and we're going to do them for the next 2 weeks and see what change it makes. And has there ever been a time where I recommended something and you guys followed through with it that it did not work?
Never.
No,
Never for me.
and I remember we went on vacation to Florida and drove, and my back was a wreck.
He called me.
Yeah, and I said, can you message Devin and see what I can do? Because I mean, I couldn't get comfortable anyway. And then you had me doing good mornings and hip extensions. And within 2 or 3 days, I was able to move and do better. And then every time we would stop coming home, I would do good mornings, and people probably thought I was nuts, and then I didn't have any pain on the way home.
Even in the hotel room, she would lay on her back, and I would, put her foot against my chest and just lean into her, and yeah, it was your sciatic nerve.
Now, Deborah, what about your side of it? Because
yeah, I've been down a lot more than you, so.
well, that's what. Anytime he's down, you just you come pick him up, and all right, let's go head over to the ER.
Well, I think with me, I always stay calm. It's being a nurse, anyways. I know that what to be expected, and I think that's why we work out so well. Because Greg has a lot of anxiety sometimes about things, and I think I'm able to calm him down. And because he's like, "What do you think?" and "Do you think this or that?" And I'm like, "No, it's going to be fine." And I bought him with a crossover symmetry. I bought him the hip thing too to help with his hips. And I'm always looking for things to help with his pain, with his knees, and getting little devices that he can wear, just recovery things that he can wear. And always, when he would get down, I'm just like, Greg, it's just going to be fine. You're going to be better than you were before. And I just kept saying that. And he was like, I don't know. And he is. I think now he's better than he was before he even left. I mean, I can believe last night that he did a 315-pound deadlift with 9 weeks out from an Achilles repair.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Your next doctor's appointment. You're going to be like, hey, doc, I've been doing this and this and this. He's going to look at you like most of my patients aren't even walking. That's the reality. Most people don't have the mindset to where they truly want the change, or they truly take the effort to make the change.
My last doctor's appointment, he told me just on the mobility side, because when he took the cast off and put me in a walking boot, he said, every night I want you to do rotations to the right and to the left with your ankle. I don't want you to go up and down with it yet. Well, every night when you lay in bed and you go to the right and you go to the left so many times, you have that urge that you want to go up, you want to go down, and the only way to get that flexibility back is to start working it. So that's what I started doing on my own. And he told me that he sees a lot of college athletes from WVU, and he said, I am light years ahead of them right now at the 8-week mark than what most of those athletes are. And, that makes you feel good, but nothing, if you want something, nothing's going to be given to you. You have to put the work in. You have to put the time in. I could have sat on my ass. I could have laid in bed and not done nothing and felt sorry for myself. But then I would have been worse than what I was when I joined the gym. I was about 280 pounds when I first joined the gym. And you can't go back. You have to push. You have to go forward. I've talked to you a lot about, I want to leave my mark on this gym. I want to leave my mark for my kids, for my family. I want to inspire others. I want to do what I can to try to make the world a little better place and let people know that you can survive horrendous injuries. You can, but you have to push. You can't just sit back and wait for it to happen, because it's not going to.
I think what he's saying, and everyone knows I'm a smack talker and I talk a lot, but I truly want people to do really, really well. And I have so many friends that I work with that I would love to bring them here and to see how this would change their lives. And just to get, and it's so frustrating because you can't get people motivated enough they want to complain about their health and they have all these aches and pains. And I just want to say, oh, we could fix that. We could fix that. But they just don't. I don't know. I don't know if it's fear for them, but it's so frustrating because, I mean, and it's all age groups. Because here it's not just for an elite athlete or for somebody who's amazing at lifts, or it's to help you live your life so you can always be at home and take care of yourself. So, I mean, when I first came here and I hadn't done anything exercise-wise for probably about 6 months when I first joined here, and I had a lot of knee pain when I would bend over and empty catheters or bend over on those concrete floors at work and try to do things and put my knees down. And I always had back pain. I was short of breath walking up the stairs, going down to take lab work to the lab. And now I have none of that. Like my knee, I haven't complained of knee pain in probably 2.5 years.
What shoes do you wear to work?
I wear my Reebok Nanos.
Oh, you wear your Nanos now?
Yep.
That was something.
You made a believer out of her.
Oh, I could do a whole episode on the shoes thing because you were one that always wanted to wear the Brooks Ghost. And I have a lot of people who come in with Hokas. And I try to say that's actually worse. That's what's causing all this pain. Matt Walker, he was one. He wore Hokas all the time to work because he was walking 10, 15,000 steps a day. Was having some ankle pain, switched over to, he wears Nanos too. And I mean, I think that plays into it as well.
Well, also for me, if I don't exercise, if I have 2 or 3 days in a row where I'm not in the gym, my body hurts. It does. It hurts. And that's when I tell people, they're like, oh, I just have so many pains, I can't go. No, those pains will get better.
Look at Ava.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what she told me. After 2 or 3 PT sessions, she's already moving better than she has. And she said, I love coming.
Matt does a really good job with her too. He said he enjoys it too. Is there anything else you guys want to leave the listeners with?
I just want to, if you can read the quote on my back of my shirt.
The shirt that Debra got him says, "The bigger the setback, the greater the comeback."
I think that's especially true for him, but I think it's true for both of us.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know that if I can go through this journey and I can get in here and do do what I can do, then anybody else can. But you have to want it, just like anything else. You have to push yourself. It's going to hurt at times. You're going to be sore. It's all worth it. Think about the legacy you're leaving for your kids. Think about what you're putting in your mouth. Think about what you're putting on the table for your kids to eat. And it's all things that come into play with me now. I think about everything. But be your best self. That's what I would end with. Be your best self. If you think your best self is looking you in the mirror every morning, then be okay with that. But if you know it's not, then you got to do something about it.
Yep, I agree with that. If you're complaining all the time that you don't feel well, and I mean, I hear it all the time at work. I'm sore, I'm tired, I don't feel good, but they don't do anything about it. And there's so many opportunities that I've invited people to come here with me, and it's so frustrating when they don't come because it has literally changed my life.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally, it's changed my life, and this is something that's part of my life that I could never imagine not being there.
And I want to say real quick, we work with you a lot one-on-one. We come to a lot of your classes as well, but it's from the top down. All your coaches are great. All the members are great. Everyone in here they're wonderful people. So I got nothing but good things to say about the whole organization.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. I truly appreciate you two coming on. You two are some of my favorite people, not just inside the gym, but as a whole. You two really go above and beyond to help people, to motivate people, and you guys just are two people to look up to. So
thank you. Appreciate it.